What are some of my favorite readers on the entire internet? Guess what? Amazon just debuted it and released this new amazing feature called Amazon Charts. What Amazon Charts does is it actually ranks books based on what people are actually reading versus what people are buying, which is insane. A lot of people are used to book charts being based on the New York Times bestseller list, which is exactly what it is, a bestseller list. So right now, as we can see, as you log into Amazon Charts, instead of going to the most read tab, I've skipped over to the most sold tab first. And look at that. So the number one book right now is The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood, which is a really good novel. We haven't actually read that. And it's number one. And number two is Into the Water by Paula Hawkins. And number three is 16 and It's Seductive by James What's-His-Face. And number four is Beneath the Scarlet Sky by Mark Sullivan, which is actually a really good author, right? And as we can see that, when you scroll down, we can see other novels that are like brand new debuts, minus Dr. Seuss novel, that have just came out, right? But if we go over to the most read tab of what people are actually reading, we see an entirely different leveling playing field over here. As you see, like Margaret Atwood's The Handmaid's Tale is number one right off the bat as being the number one most read book. Instead of it being that other novel, I forget, being number two, and James Patterson's novel being number three, we see that David Baldcatty's book, The Fix, is actually one of the most read novels. And that's so cool, because as we can see right here, Into the Water, it's not even second anymore, it's seventh of being most read. And if you keep scrolling, for some reason Harry Potter, damn near the entire series, is actually really popular for some reason still. And that is cool, because it just shows that just because something is selling doesn't mean that people are actually reading it and talking about it. I just love that Amazon is actually going to start charting what books are actually being most read versus most sold, because that's very cool news. I mean, as someone like who's really nerdy and into the details, that's a cool feature to see that, like, what people are actually reading versus what people are buying, because there's a difference between people buying book and just putting it on the bookshelf versus actually opening that book up and reading it. And to chart what people are actually reading is a bigger issue and a very bigger topic in what we should be doing versus what people are buying. Because as we can see, as commercially successful authors like James Patterson, who can get his book sold, doesn't mean that people are actually taking the time to actually sit down and read that book. And this is the problem when it comes to the New York Times bestseller list, where it lists all of these things on most sold. Because as we see when we log into the New York Times bestsellers list, we see that all these books are like pretty much the same ones that we saw on Amazon's page, just in a little bit different order, but all these books are on the most sold page, and a lot of these books aren't even on the most read page and what people are actually reading right now. The point is, best-selling novel, what does that mean? So what if you can get your book sold? Are people actually going to read it, or are they just going to leave it on their shelves to collect dust? Another thing is, if people are buying it and they are buying it in bulk and it's being like a New York Times bestseller list, are people actually enjoying it, or are they just putting it down after the first 10 pages? And with Amazon's charts, we can actually see what's actually interesting, what's actually being read. Not only is Amazon Charts just charting what people are reading from Amazon's like electronic platform, the Kindle, it actually tracks it through audiobooks as well as the Kindle or digital copies. And I'm not saying that this new Amazon Charts thing is going to like dethrone the New York Times bestseller in the USA Today list. Like, it's not, but it just provides us just an entirely new insight that's really cool and fascinating and really like. And the number one key difference between what this does is that it allows us to see what e-readers are reading and what they're into versus what print readers are actually into and are reading. As time goes on, we may see a shift in what readers want digitally versus what people want. Like, an entire genre may be bigger in print versus on electronic and digital copies, which could be cool, because electronic and digital readers may have different tastes than print readers. We may never know. They may actually have the same taste. We don't know until like we actually start looking at this Amazon Charts thing and actually doing test studies and like looking at what people are reading versus what they're buying in stores. It adds like an entirely new level of focus and study on readers. And that's all I have for you guys today. This is really interesting to me. I freaking love this level of technology that we're in this digital age. You guys can let me know what your own opinions are on the Amazon most read charts down below in the comment section. I would love to hear it. And if you guys like this video, you can go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that like button over there to stay up to date with all my booktube talks, discussions, and hauls. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to me on Twitter at CamPerp. Keep your heads up high to expectations. Great.